Welcome to North Georgia Business Radio. I'm your host, Bo Henderson, and this is the one place committed to highlighting the local businesses in our community and the people behind them. And I'm excited today because we have someone that helps local businesses to actually be more successful. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I think I'd let everybody know it was hard to do, but I let Dr. Bill Lampton off today for his birthday. Gave him the day off, all right? And I have Joy Allgood, and you've heard Joy in the past on the show. So Joy is going to be my wingman here today. How's it going, Joy?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Bo, for having me on. I'll be a wingman for today, I guess.
Was that improper, wing woman?
Wing person. I'm not really sure how it goes now,
that's
but
probably more appropriate.
I'm just saying right now, I'll be your wing woman.
My
we got
wing
this.
Associate? Okay, we're just going too far with that. Well, let's talk about that today. So we're talking about today, our guest is actually, he has his business, but his business is to help business owners be more successful. And we've both been entrepreneurs, and we've talked to a lot of these entrepreneurs on the show, and we say, how much of a need is there for that? Somebody just to go through independent third party that has some knowledge and skills, and maybe for this week, here's some action items to move you forward.
Actually, it was really exciting to meet our guest today because you know how passionate I am about local businesses, especially the mom and pops, the brick and mortars, and to have some type of kind of grassroots feel to this is very exciting. And so I have a lot of questions and I cannot wait. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, before the show, I was like, Joy, quit talking. Let's save the questions for the actual show.
He's been saying that to me for years.
When we're recording. So without further ado, Mr. James Barber with Training of Champions. How you doing, James?
Blessed and highly favored of the Lord, and I like it that way.
Hey, good to see you, friend.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Just kind of you heard the excitement because we believe in business, small business,
Yes,
local business, and there's a need. It can be hard out there. It can be a situation where you're kind of having to figure it out as you go. And sometimes the resources that larger businesses with larger budgets have are just not available. So it can be tough. So give us that big overview of kind of your place in this world and what you're really out there trying to do.
Okay, there are many people who call themselves business coaches. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time I joined a networking group, and they had a business coach. And so I asked what I thought was the obvious question. I said, how many businesses have you owned, and how successful were they? He said, I've never owned a business. I said, so you're going to tell me what I'm supposed to do, but you've never done it yourself? I said, I call that being a hypocrite. And so I've got the voice of experience. Yes, I've been through thousands of hours of training and taking different topics, different classes, learning from experts in the industry. But the thing that I really want to focus on is, like you said, the bigger companies, they can afford to pay, quite a bit of money to get whatever they need. But the lady or the man who just has a dream, who wants to see it come to pass, and they're passionate about something, they're very good at it, but they just don't know all the ins and outs of business, that's the person that I want to be able to help.
Well, and I really appreciate that passion because I know 17 years into my journey as an entrepreneur, it was hard. And there were times where I learned a lot of hard lessons and took a step back to move forward. So I'm really appreciative of what you do out there. Now, when it comes to you're working with these people, do you see common mistakes that maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 mistakes that most people are that are the most common that people are just not quite getting right or don't have their head around that might be that lever that moves them forward the fastest?
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is they're very good at their products or services, but they just don't know all things business. And so they try to learn, try to have on-the-job training instead of getting with someone who can help them and can help guide them through the process and help hold their hand. And then another mistake is people try to be the expert at too many different things. I've seen people, they want to do this, and they want to do A, they want to do B, they want to do C, they want to do E, they want to do F. So they want to do all these things instead of focusing on 1 to 3 things that they can absolutely be the best at doing. And I find that's a common mistake that they want to be the Walmart. Somebody just opens a brand new business and they want to be the Walmart of the world, but yet they don't have the Walmart resources. And so many times year or 2 years down the road, they go out of business. And one of the horror stories that breaks my heart, I play racquetball with this guy now. At the time, he was a member of the chamber, and he put $250,000 of his own money into a business, and in 1 year he failed. And I just wanted to hug him and hold him and and try to make that go away, but I couldn't. But I thought if I could have got a hold of him a little bit sooner, maybe
Right.
in the process, that maybe I could have helped him be successful. Yes, he can go make money again, but he can never recoup the blood, sweat, and tears that he put into trying to make a business successful because he had a passion for it.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And Joy, I know you've seen this around Gainesville. It's better now, but there's a period of time we're on the square, our office, and there was a period of time it seemed like there was just this 6 month, 1 year rotation. You'd see somebody go in, and to me, I resonate with what you said, James. They're going in with their dream, and you see it rotate out a year later, and it's heartbreaking.
Right.
Right. And I do. I think it's just a matter for a lot of people of just having a little bit of what are the most important things I can do to move forward more successfully.
Right.
And it's easy to be distracted.
Yes, sir.
It is.
And the distraction is definitely easy. The one thing that I have seen, and a lot of, not even small, but just local, the mom and pop businesses, what I've seen a lot is they go in and say they're a phenomenal artist, or they're just really good at their trade, and like you said, they take on so many other things. To have someone like you would be such an asset, but in a small business owner's mind, all they see are dollar signs. They're like, okay, we've already put $250,000 into this business. It's like, how can I afford to bring somebody else in to say, hey, let me give you some techniques, let me give you some ideas. Let's sit down and talk about this. Like, how do you approach these business owners? How do you find them, approach them, and give me a little bit of insight about that.
Okay. The typical coaching program that I've seen cost between $500 a month, and that's for 2 hours of coaching a month, all the way up to about $5,000 a month.
Wow.
What my mama used to say is you can't get blood out of a turnip. So if the money's not there, you can't, even though you need the help, you need to do something because you're struggling, but you just can't afford it. So one thing that I do is I will work for whatever's in their budget. Now, I could do it for free, but I used to do some coaching for free, but the problem I found with that is when you don't charge them something, then they don't take advantage of your expertise, and they
Right.
just think there's no value there because you didn't charge me. So apparently it must not be any good, and I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to do anything with it. So I found out that when I started charging people at least a little bit of something, then they started taking it a little bit more serious. And so, but there's stipulations with that. So the first thing is if we agree to a game plan and we say, okay, this is what we need to do to hit our goal, then they have to stick with that game plan, because if they don't, I'm not a babysitter. So if they don't stick with the game plan after we collectively come up with this game plan, I'm done. I wash my hands and no hard feelings, whatever, but I can't help you. And then the second thing is as they grow and I help them reach certain levels, then maybe they pay me a little bit more money. But I will literally, I do this for people. I'll go in and I'll give them $2,000 or $3,000 a month worth of stuff for $50 a month. And it's not, and I'll say it this way. God's blessed us. Okay, without God, I wouldn't be anything. But and I could retire. I could have been retired a few years ago. But my heart is to reach out, and what I've learned through owning several businesses, to reach into the business community and help the people who have 10 employees or less, $5 million or less. That's my niche. That's who I want to work with. If Home Depot needs a motivational speaker, would I go do it? Yes, I will. I've done some of the big motivational speaking stuff, Coca-Cola. That I've done those kind of speeches because I do that as well. But that's not where my heart is. My heart is to help the small business owner be successful and achieve the dreams that they've dreamed about for so long.
I like the fact that you said, you mentioned you've owned businesses.
Several.
So this is not something that you're just saying, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be your business coach. You've been there, you've done that, you've put the blood, sweat, and tears into it. And so, how does that make you a better coach for small businesses?
Well, the way I feel like it makes us somebody better, it's like this. You could read a book of how to make good homemade cat head biscuits, buttermilk.
Not gonna happen.
All right, so you could read a book about how to do it, but if you've never done it, if you've never got in there and you've got the lard and the buttermilk and got all these things and mixed it with your hands and actually gone through it, it's probably not going to turn out real well the first few times you do it. And it's the same way in business. You can read what a book says. You can go to all the seminars that you want to, but if you've not lived through the experience of doing it, if I want to know how the banana pudding tastes, I want to talk to somebody who's got a little bit on their chin, so because I know they've tasted it and they've tried it. I don't want to talk to somebody who says, well, I don't know if the bananas pudding is good. I don't know how it tastes. I don't know. I want to know somebody who's been there and done that, because then they can say, hey, it's like when I go into a new venture, I don't try to figure it out by myself. I go ask people who's already been down the road a day or two longer than I have and say, hey, what do you think I ought to do? All right, because I don't think I've got all the answers here.
Well, I got a follow up to that, James. I really want to drive this. I think there's so much credibility in having the experience. So, what was the path to do business coaching? I know we met in networking, and you were still growing your business. So what was the path in the business? And then there's a follow up. So while you're answering the first one, be processing the second one.
Okay.
What was the path with what you did, and then what was the biggest lesson you learned that you believe made you a better coach?
Okay, so the path to kind of get there, I think it was a long journey. Mm-hmm. All right, going back to my days in the military, I was in the Navy, and so I got involved in a lot of training while I was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. Found out I was very passionate about training and trying to teach others what I knew how to do. And, Bo, if I know how to do it, I love to teach other people how to do it. Now, if you were to ask me, hey, you want to crochet? Well, I could learn to crochet, but I don't have no passion about crocheting. But if you said, hey, can you teach me how to play the bass guitar? I'll teach you how to play the bass guitar. You'll be one of the best bass guitar players in the world, okay? Or you want to teach me how to, play basketball? Well, I grew up playing basketball or football. So things that I've done through life. And so even going back to in high school, a coach coaching me and kind of helping me get better. We had a basketball coach. He said, if you can't use your left hand, you might as well cut it off, And so he would make us have to use our left hand. Well, when I got older, kids would want to play me in basketball. I just wear them out left-handed because they didn't know how to use their left hand. So we'd play a game of horse, and it'd be like a horse to nothing, because I just do everything left-handed. So the path is kind of, going all along the way through the military, through owning several businesses and kind of figuring out, okay, because what I would do is when I didn't know what to do, somebody would say, well, this will help you be such and such, or this will help you do. I'd try it. And I said, whoop, that didn't work. And I tried something else. That didn't work. Well, the thing is, if you're a small business owner and you spend $500 on something and it doesn't work, that hurts. If you're Coca-Cola and you spend $1 million on something and it don't work, it's no big deal. Okay, so if you're a big business and you spend a lot of money, it doesn't bother you if it doesn't work. Research shows that some of the larger companies, many of their products that they will put millions of dollars into, they fail before they ever bring them to market. And so, but they can afford to do that. But the small guy or small business owner, woman, they cannot do that. And so I think all of that's led to this path. And I think probably the biggest lesson that I have learned is, especially when it comes to coaching, is I want people to feel my heart and know that it's not a facade with who I am. If I see them in Walmart, I want to love them and be the same person that if I see them in the nicest steakhouse, or if I see them, or I'm doing business coaching, it's not just being genuine, because many people, they'll get you in the door, and once they got your money and they're done with you, then they're done with you. I'm never done with people. Okay. I mean, me and you, you know this, we may not talk for a year, but then when we see each other again, man, we just catch right back up, and but we stay in touch on like social media and stuff. We'll stay in touch, and I'll comment on your post, and you'll reply back and stuff. When you and Bill was doing the program here at the Hall County Chamber the other day, the only reason I came, it wasn't for the Hall County Chamber. I came because two of my friends was doing the program, and I was like, I'm going to support my friends.
Right.
And, so it's that, to me, that's one of the biggest things, is having a genuine interest in the success of everybody around you. And that's what I try to do.
And something I've learned too is over the years is that when you believe in what you're speaking, people will follow you.
Yep.
If you believe in it.
Yes.
Because it's so easy now to spot people. They're just saying something as a marketing tactic.
Right. Exactly.
I will say this. I think you nailed it when you said the word genuine. Because, it's hard to see it's hard to see the word genuine, especially, over a podcast or radio, but I can definitely see it here. And it's very inspiring. And so there are a couple of questions that I have. Actually, one will kind of round it out. So business coaching, you've talked about monetary things. You've talked about, you're basically your target. But what do you offer? Is it social media? Is it, like SEO? Like, what all is it? Is it financial? Is it business plan?
Okay.
Can you envelop a little bit on that?
Okay,
or
great
elaborate?
question. Kind of my thing is I've got some things that I have some attorneys working on. That's my own intellectual property. Many people use an acronym called SMART goals, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Well, one night I go to bed early, which was a shock, because most of the times it's between 12 and 4 in the morning before I ever go to bed. And so it's about 11 o'clock, and I get up, boom, just like that. And my wife said, "What are you doing?" It's about 11 o'clock. I said, "Man, I got this idea. I got to put it down, man. I can't let loose of it." And so one thing that my attorneys is working on is the acronym of ACTION. Okay, so action is it achievable? Is it a current goal? Can you bind it by time? And this is a biggie. Is it important to you? All right, because it may be important to my wife that I lose weight, but if it's not important to me, I'm probably not going to. The O is a big one for me, because I've worked with companies before that did this. They would oscillate. Okay, so will you not oscillate? And then the N for action is, are you willing to start now? And so then what I work with people on is establishing harmony in their life, not balance, okay? But there's different areas of life where we need to have harmony, okay? Our work, our family, our fitness, our faith, our finance, fun. So these areas, and so I work with people with having harmony in those areas. So what'll happen is, in doing this, if I realize that they need marketing help, can I do that? Yes, I can, but that's not my area of expertise. So what I'll do is I'll connect them with people who handle marketing. If I realize that what they really need is sales help, but they don't need organizational help, or they don't need help and kind of get from point A to point B, and they really need that sales training, they're struggling with sales, then what I'll do is I'll connect them with somebody who handles, that's their niche. I told one person recently, and I just have to be me, okay? I don't try to be unkind or cruel, but I have to be who I am. And so this one guy, he's I know is very negative. So I told him, there's a leadership coach that I know. Her name is Gail Ely, Total Life Leadership. And she works with people on getting this negative energy out of the workplace. And so I told him, I said, you need me and I can help you. But I will not help you until you first work with Gail Ely, because everything that I would try to help you with, it would be so negative. and I told this person, I said, your wife realizes how negative you are. Your children, all your employees realize. You're the only person that don't see how negative that you are. And sometimes you have to have those real life conversations with people, and they might not like it, but the thing is, if I'm going to help the person, sometimes you got to have those hard conversations. So I'll go in and I'll work business operations. Here recently, somebody said, I want to be over here in 10 years. I said, okay, do you have an organizational chart? Have you read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber? Nope, never read it. I said, okay, first thing you need to do is fill out an organizational chart. And then we need to figure out, if you want to be over here in 10 years, how many employees does that look like? Now, in this org chart, fill out a total org chart. What is the one position, the one thing that you really don't like to do, that as soon as you get a little money coming in, you can hire out and take your name off that spot? Because when you first start, you know what? You feel everything in that org chart. Mm-hmm. I've been there and I've done that. Matter of fact, if I pulled my shirt off right now, you'd see all kind of scars all over me, where I've been beat up. Okay, but with this guy, I just said, let's fill out an org chart. And then when you fill out the org chart, then we'll see, all right, what can I take off myself now? All right. Then as I do a little bit better, what's the next thing I can take off myself? But although it's simple in the approach, it's still some things that many people, they don't know. They have no clue about. If they don't have a business plan, I'll say, okay, I need to connect you with somebody to help you write a business plan. I work with people on vision statements, mission statements, core values. Many people don't have a vision statement. They don't have a mission statement. They're just, as we used to say where I grew up, they are flying by the seat of their pants. Okay? And it's hard to have a business be successful when you fly by the seat of your pants all the time.
Well, I think a lot of times, James, we go back to what we said earlier. There's so many things you can do. And my experience has been it's easier to do things that might be not necessarily the things you need to do, but you can justify in your mind, I'm busy. So I think there's just a lot of value in somebody that sometimes kick your butt if they need to and say, hey, here's the one thing you need to work on until we reconvene in 2 weeks, or the three things.
Yep.
And just keep on track.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's a lot of value in the coaching, is just somebody to make sure progress, not perfection. Am I moving forward?
Right, exactly.
Because if we move forward, eventually we'll get where we're trying to go.
Exactly.
Question. So I know you've done so much around the world of networking.
Yes,
That's
sir.
where we met.
Yes, sir.
Did a lot of training and coaching there. What do you see the role? Well, I see two sides. Is networking still important to you in growing this business? And is it something that you recommend across the board, or is it a fit for some people and not others, depending on the business? Just
okay.
Overall.
All right. Good 3-part question there. Number one is networking is vital to what I do, because I'm just trying to get the word out to people. Like the introductions that I tell people all the time, I want introductions to CPAs. Why? Because a CPA really knows if the business is doing well or not. Mm-hmm. Now, Bo, somebody could put on a facade, yeah, man, my business is doing great. We're doing great. And that CPA says, you're full of garbage. It is not doing great. You're lying. Okay. So a CPA knows. And so it'll be a win-win for the CPA, because I can help their client make more money, which helps them make more money, and I can help the client make more money, and I'll get a little bit of money. All right. So it's kind of a win-win for that. So yes, networking is still important. I think it's vital for most businesses to be involved in some type of network, because and almost everybody has a network of some sort. Like in the country, people have a network. All the farmers, if a farmer breaks his leg, all the other farmers, they'll gather in there and gather the crops. A woman has a baby, all the neighboring farmers' wives will jump in there and take care of the kids and all this kind of stuff. So they got your gangs. Gangs have a network. Right. People in the city have a network. Everybody has a network. But when it comes to business, what we need to do is we need to build a network of people around us who want us to be successful, and we want them to be successful in almost a symbiotic relationship. So in a true symbiotic relationship, it's like this. Most people think that a termite eats wood, but most people think that a termite digests the wood, but they don't. It's a protozoa in the gut that actually digests the wood and turns it into something beneficial for the termite. Outside of the termite, the protozoa can't live. all right? And outside of the protozoa, if it doesn't have that in its gut, the termite doesn't live. So that's the truest form of a symbiotic relationship. And so if you can build a team of people who call on the same kind of customers that you do, let's just say, for example, you're a landscaper. Well, who calls on the same kind of customers? Well, you got the painter, you got the plumber, you got the heating and air guy. You got all these kind of people. They call on the same kind of customers. So building a relationship with all those kind of people where you will support one another and promote one another. And that's the biggie, promoting one another. Say, hey, if you need a plumber, I got the plumber, or I got the painter, or I got the whoever, whatever you need. And most people that know me, they know that I know a bunch of people in the area, and so I'll get calls. Hey, I'm looking for, who do you know? And usually I can recommend 2 or 3 people that I know do good quality work, and they will be honest and tell them the truth. Okay, they're not going to say, yeah, you need a new HVAC unit when all they need is a $59 capacitor.
Right. Well, James, as I hear you talk about the specificity of the team.
That's a fancy word.
I was going to say, I was looking over at Joy. I was like,
I know.
That's my word for the day. There we
Word
go.
for the day.
So very, very specific. The other jobs that have the same client. It reminded me, a big takeaway from that you just shared is that it's got to be intentional, though, or
Exactly.
as good as networking can be, it can be one of those things you rationalize doing all day and you're not doing other things
That's
you need
exactly
to be doing.
right.
So,
yeah, my mama was one of my biggest fans. My mama loved me more than anybody. But you know what? My mama never sent me one customer. I mean, so people think just, it's a myth. Just because people like you, they'll want it. That's not true. They'll send you referrals if you train them to send you referrals, and you learn how to reciprocate on those referrals.
Well, question. We talked about a lot of these examples. Any recent or things that stand out as far as just a success story of you coming in and somebody's here and then a little work together and they get there?
Okay. Got this company that I was working with, and he told me, he said, James, I really want to be, and he told me where he wanted to be. I said, okay. So I just said, these are some things that you need to do in order to get there. He said, my Lord, James, it's going to take me at least a year. I said, man, I don't have a magic wand that I can wave over you, and all of a sudden you're going to go from point A to point B, and you're going to do it in 2 weeks. That's not the way coaching works. I mean, it's a process. And one thing that I like is this. A system allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results predictably. And the person I first heard say that was Bob Berg, and I use it on a regular basis. Bob Berg became a friend of mine. He endorsed my first book, and so, I mean, love him. I mean, he's just an awesome man. But the thing is just sticking with that plan. So I tell him, and he says, okay, I want to get with you. He didn't get with me. I didn't chase him. I'd tell him, hey, when you get serious about wanting to do something, talk to me, all right? But don't just be lip service. So he kept being lip service for a while. Finally, he said, okay, I want you to work with one of my employees. One of my employees has trouble talking to people. Okay, no problem. I can work with you. So we met, and I really wasn't working on sales. I was just working on talking to people, just kind of making a relationship with the customer, even if they're a potential customer, just going over some basic stuff. And he told me the other day, he said, James, I want you to know that he just closed his biggest deal. And I said, wow. And then he stood up and told a room of about 50 people, he said, let me tell y'all something about him. He worked with one of my employees. Now, I don't do sales training. I don't do sales. I just worked on him how to communicate a little bit. And so he stood up and he said, my employee's sales went from 25% closure rate to 80% closure rate just because he started working with James. And I was like, I didn't even know, because I teach it, we work on it, we role play it, we do it. And I was just tickled to death. I was like, man, praise the Lord that, what he took to heart. Now, this is what was crazy, is the owner says, he said, James, I'm talking to him and said, well, why did you handle that way? He said, that's because that's what James told me to do. And I did what he said, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. He said, yeah, but I got the deal, didn't I? So apparently, because sometimes we get, sidetracked by just doing things one way.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and I will say this. Bob Berg, know the name. I think it's great. I will say this. What I've heard from you thus far reminds me of Bob Dylan, actually. He not busy being born is busy dying. You constantly have to continue that growth, and I think it's amazing what you do. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who would really like to know how to get in touch with you, even if I know that, like you said, you have a large network, so maybe they can get in touch with you. How do we get in touch with you?
Okay. They can. There's 3 ways to get to my website. Okay. So the series title of my book is The Networking Guru. So they can go the networking-guru. Okay. They can go networking-guru and all that's.com, or they can go to trainingofchampions.com. It takes them all to the same place. That's one way. They can call me at 770-519-2828. Repeat, 770-519-2828.
Well, very good. So let's talk about that as we're kind of winding down here. So what would that look like? So say, hey, I'm starting this business. I realize what James is saying. I need some direction, some focus. Would it be like hey, let's have coffee and have a conversation? What would that initial first step be?
Yeah, sure. I'll meet them. One of my favorite places, as a matter of fact, in my book, it's a local place here, because I kind of tell the story in my books is what I do. It's kind of like a parable. And I use Kurt's. Mm-hmm. So it's right there close to where I live. And so what'll happen is people say, hey, can I just meet you in Gainesville someplace? I said, how about Kurt's? They got good breakfast, they got good lunch. What time do you want to meet? Because I'll be there. And so we'll go there. Or if somebody wants to meet me in Gwinnett, I'll try to find a place down there that I like to go. And we'll just have a conversation. Say, hey, how do you feel like I can be beneficial to you? Like I talked to a guy the other day, and one of the questions that I asked him after we talked for a while, I said, what's your biggest hindrance to getting to where you want to be? And this is what he told me. He said, my lack of organization. I said, okay. I said, we can fix that. Okay. Now, Bo, this is amazing. That's an easy fix, but most people don't realize it. All right. Everybody has these things called a smartphone. And when you're not organized, you just put everything on the calendar and you block everything off when you're not organized. And you live by your calendar. Now, some people say, no, it's not brilliant. It's just, but I've been there. I've done that. And I found out the older I get, the better my forgetter is. All right. I used to never forget anything, but my forgetter's gotten pretty good. So I put everything in my phone calendar now. And sometimes my daughter puts it on a thing. And so sometimes I got the same appointment there 2 or 3 times because my daughter sends me an invite or my wife sends me an invite. And I've already put it in the calendar, but it's in the calendar.
I like it. Joy, I don't know about you, but I've been excited to hear the work James is doing. He's always exciting to talk to. You can tell he's very animated. I hate that we don't have video yet.
I know. That's exactly what I was saying when I was talking about his genuineness.
That's right. Well, hey, James, thanks for sharing with us on North Georgia Business Radio. Those of you listening, go to trainingofchampions.com. If you see that being a step, a little support, a little help. And I know James's heart and his goal, he doesn't want people out there to be that statistic that doesn't make it if it's possible to make it.
Right.
So thanks so much for what you do, and thanks for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
See you next time.
All right.
See you next time, Joy.
Have a good day, Bo.
All right. We'll talk to you guys same time, same place next week right here on North Georgia Business Radio X.